Okay, so I'm going to start off with by talking you through everything that I have in front of me. So I have my Jamberry sheets, which come in a nice handy little envelope with instructions on the back. I also have the all-important rubber-tipped cuticle pusher, an orange stick, a buffer, my nail file, nail scissor, and an alcohol wipe. So last night I removed the wraps I had on previously and fully prepped my nails, and now I will start by using the alcohol wipe just to ensure that all the natural oil and grime that I may have picked up overnight is removed. It is really important that you get into all the cuticle creases, as I don't want that to cause me any issues during application. Obviously, it's extremely important that you push back your cuticles as far as possible and also look at removing what is called an invisible cuticle. If you Google it, you'll see it. It's just a small film of cuticle skin that can form on the very base of your nail, and you can, if you try giving your nail a short scrape, if white appears then you know it's there and you would just need to go to remove it. But as you can see, I've pushed my cuticle all the way back and the nail is nice and clean. So before I finished up yesterday as well, I used a buffer. This isn't a necessity, but again, it ensures that all the grime and the potential of the invisible cuticle is removed from my nail. Right, so I have chosen two types of wraps for my application this time, being the gold mirrored and the black and gold chevron. So I'll alternate these on each finger to give me a mixed manicure. So we'll start with the chevron wraps. So as you will know or have seen, Jamberry wraps come on a clear sheet, which allows you to very simply pick the size that is right for your finger. So in this case, I would look at the wrap and check that from one side to the other, that one actually would be a little bit too small, so I move on to the next size, that the sheet would wrap from one side of the nail all the way to the other. So I know that this particular wrap is the one for my thumb. And what would I would go ahead and do now is cut this in half. To make it easy for me to remove from the sheet, to do very simply like this. I then apply it by the base to the orange stick, which is half the wrap. Now I turn on, I'm going to try and get my heater into the picture. I turn on my heater. It heats up very quickly. Obviously, if you were using a hairdryer, I would use the smallest setting because you don't want a big blast of air, but you want the heat. And then you would go about heating your wrap just for a few seconds. You will see that it has slightly curled, and that shows you that the warmth has activated the glue. Now, there's no stress, or you don't need to rush. The glue won't cool down again. You really have all the time in the world to apply this to your nail. So with calm, no anxiety, you will not break the wrap, you will not ruin your finger. I go about, I'm going to try and get as close as I can as possible to show you how I place the wrap onto the centre of my nail. Simply as that. It's now sticking to my nail. I push it down the middle and then I push it round the sides. And it really is as simple as that. So you will see that it's now applied to my nail. I will go ahead and reheat just to give it that extra little bit of heat, really as long as you can take the heat. And I will now go and use my cuticle pusher, which I just couldn't live without, and nicely tuck and apply plenty of pressure around every part of the nail. Now, if by chance you haven't applied it to the center of your nail, that's okay. Before you apply all the pressure, just lift the wrap off again and just reheat it, and you'll see it will automatically, with the heat, straighten out and be ready for reapplication. Obviously you don't want to do that too many times, but you won't break it if you do it a couple of times. So again, I'll just reheat it if I'm in any doubt whatsoever, and just apply lots of pressure. It won't break. Really want to just make sure you seal all the edges. So just to show you, here's a close-up. Now I still have obviously quite a lot of excess at the top of the wrap, so I'm going to trim that off just now. Turn off my heater. Not all the way to my nail, but just to a manageable length, so I don't have too much to file off afterwards. So, a new trick that I found online, because if you search Jamberry application on YouTube, you will find lots and lots of different application methods. But I came across this method and I really liked it because it applied lots of even heat and ensured I completely sealed all the edges. You don't have to do this, but this works for me, so I thought I would share it. So all you need is a food bag. Put your finger in it, and as you've seen, I've just tightened the bag across my nail over the front of it to make it nice, which then pushes the excess wrap over the edge of my nail, and it's just nice and tight. And now what I do is I put it in front of the heater, and what I would say is, like I say, it applies even heat, but it also gets extremely hot, so be careful, and obviously just hold your finger under the heat for as long as you can before it hurts. So it stays nice and hot. I let it cool down just for a little bit. It takes not even a second, and then I go again and apply lots and lots of pressure to all the edges. Whilst it obviously doesn't, it looks as though it melts onto your nail, which gives you a nice smooth finish. But again, the pressure and the heat is your friend in this case, and you can see it has bent the excess wrap over the edge of my nail, and I can be sure that I have sealed the edge of my nail completely. So again, just pressure, and then I would move on to the next nail before I trim this down, let my nail and the glue activation completely cool down, and file at the very end, which I'll cover as we go along. So I'm going to continue now to try and do some of the other nails, and I'll catch up with you once I'm a bit further along the way. Right, I've now done my thumb, my middle finger and my little finger in the chevron, and I'll be moving on to the gold wraps. So I thought I'd share that with you. So again, I'm going to start with this finger and size it up to the correct size using the clear back of the wrap, and move through the sizes. And here, just to show you closely, I'm looking to see that every part of my nail would be covered. I know that this one is the right size for me. Again, I trim it down the side. Obviously, again, you can decide what works for you in terms of cutting the wrap. But now I have a clear edge that I then peel off with the orange stick, trying to touch the wrap as little as possible. Switch it so that it's nice for easy application. And again, I heat it until you will see it slightly change shape. Turn off my heater, and then again, I'll try and show you more closely. You're trying to get as close to your cuticle without touching your skin. Obviously applying it in a straight fashion, layering it on and pulling it forward, and it comes off. So at the moment it's sitting on my nail. I then go apply pressure down the middle and then down each side. First on that side, down the middle and each side. I actually think I'm going to love this gold one. If you feel you have any creases whatsoever, all you need to do is take the excess and pull it slightly. So I'll show you, although there's not a crease on this at this moment in time. I reheat my nail. You can reheat as many times as you want. Again, there's no rush. Nothing happens to the nail. There's no anxiety that you're going to break anything. So if you feel you've got a little crease, you pull the edge. Just pull slightly. Take it nice and over. Again, use the handy rubber tipped cuticle pusher. I honestly don't know what I would do without this. I love it. And you know, any of you guys who've placed an order or requested samples with me will have received one of these, because I just think it's a necessity. So again, I reheat slightly. And then, turn the heater off. Apply a huge amount of pressure around all the edges. And you'll see the little creases that form because you haven't sealed the edge yet. It can be pushed out very quickly and very simply. Make sure you reach all the way to the front of your nail. Now again, if you feel you are happy with your application as it is, you're okay just to let it cool, trim and file down. As you know, I like to use this bagging method that I've come across. So you'll see I've got a lot of excess, so I'm going to try and trim this down. It's literally about 2-3 millimeters from my nail. Remove the excess, apply the bag. So I'm literally encasing my finger, pulling taut across the nail, applying my heater. And as you can see, this is where the heater, while it's not a necessity, comes in really handy. So it's nice and taut across my nail, and I apply to the heat. Again, the heat, because of the bag, it's evenly distributed across the nail, but again, it gets very hot, so be careful how long. So you literally leave it on there, let it cool down, and then apply lots of pressure. Again, pressure needs to be applied across all the edges, and that is what ensures that there is absolutely no peeling, lifting, chipping, and the nail will stay on for 2 weeks. So again, this is just a close-up where you see smooth, and the excess that I had on before the bag is now nicely folded over the edge, and you'll see how easily and cleanly that will be removed with a nail file. So I'm going to move on to the last gold nail on this hand, and then I'll show you, being a right-handed person, this hand is obviously quite easy, but how easy it is to do it with the opposite as well. Okay, moving on to my right hand using my left hand for application. You would think that would be a challenge, and don't get me wrong, obviously it's a little bit of a readjustment, but no more than you would by painting your nails. So I go back to my sheet where I obviously had half of the wrap that I used on my other thumb still ready. So I get that, place it nicely onto my orange stick, and again heat it for a couple of seconds till I see it slightly soften. I then again turn off the heater, apply it as close to my cuticle as possible on a centered position. Place it onto my nail, like so, push down the middle and down each side. There we go. As you see, for the first application using the left hand, not bad. Again, I reheat now, making sure I get it on every side and apply lots of pressure. Now the trick is to get it as close to your cuticle, but by no means touching your skin. As soon as the wrap touches the skin, it won't seal, and obviously the glue will not adhere to your skin. So my advice is always, if you're unsure of the exact fit, go for a slight size smaller, because if there is just 0.5 millimeter of your nail showing, that's okay, no one will see that. Obviously if you can get an exact fit, that's perfect. Again, there's lots of different methods available on YouTube in terms of getting the correct sizing. One of them includes applying a strip of sellotape onto your nail, drawing with a pen around the outside of your nail, peeling off the sellotape, applying it to the reverse of the wrap, and then you can cut it out exactly to the shape of your finger. Again, it just depends, everyone has different size nails. I'm very lucky that I always seem to find a size. Occasionally, depending on how much my nail has grown and how much I've pushed my cuticles back, I may need to trim by 0.5 millimeter on either side, but it's so simple with this clear sheet that you're working with that you really can't go wrong. So going back to this nail, again, I have the excess. Now trimming with your left hand can be a challenge, so I just try and take as much as I can without actually touching my nail. Trim that off, get my baggie, hot across the nail and the tip in front of the heat. Now, and again, just to show you, that's without even adding any further pressure, and the excess has folded nicely across my nail. And now, again, try, even with your non-powerful hand, applying as much pressure to seal all the edges all the way around. There we go. Again, I'm going to let that cool and show you how I finish off. Just to let you know, I still haven't filed off the ends of my other hand, as I really want that to cool down, and I'll show you once it's cooled down. You can maybe see a few little bits that you would want to correct and improve, and I'll show you how to do that at the end. I have now applied the wraps to all my nails, done the baggie, so there's still the excess on the end of my nails, and I'm going to go back to the original hand and just have a quick check over, just to see if I'm happy with everything. And I've just noticed a slight bit of puckering on this nail, so I'm just going to try and reheat. Like I say, you can reheat as many times as you need to and really go into the edges and push out the puckering. There we go. So you can see, try and keep my hand steady. There's nothing now. Let me just for a sanity check, go across each nail just to ensure I have sealed all the edges. Now, if you've just noticed a little bit, obviously every time you put your nail under the heater, you're heating up the glue in the whole wrap. So again, useful little rubber pusher. If you hold that under your heater, this also heats up, and then you can apply it specifically to an area, and it'll just apply that heat, pressured heat. Again, just round the edges. So just having a look at the other side, quite happy with a tiny little puckering here. So again, I'll heat my cuticle pusher and just apply the pressure. And there we go. And just to quickly highlight, so I've done all my nails alternating. So I've used 1, 2, 3 of the chevron, because obviously I did three fingers on each. And I only used 1 and 2, because I only used 2 fingers on each hand for that, which means I've still got pretty much all of every sheet left. So I can do pedicure with these two pedicures, and the rest are all for my nails. So if you do a mixed mani, obviously there's a huge benefit because you have lots of different wraps still available to use. So moving on to the filing. So I've done the excess, it's all cool. And what is important now is that you take your nail file, hold it at a 45-degree angle, and just brush it along the nail. You'll all of a sudden notice, just like that, that the excess wrap starts to come away. Obviously, what's really important is that you always remain at a 45-degree angle, because as soon as you change the angle, you don't want to be taking off anything off the top. There we go, and there you again, you'll see the excess is hanging off. Let's do it the same on this side. 45-degree angle at all times. And go, I just need to get into the ridge. And off it fell. And you'll see completely smooth edge around the nail. And you can just go into the edges, and that's it done. Perfect. Okay, so that's all my nails done now and all filed. I hope that the video has shown you that it is simple. Like everything, you know, it takes practice, but once you get over the anxiety of the first application, I'm sure you're going to do a great job. And if you've got any questions whatsoever, just give me a shout.